start. I don't know if the other members are joining us. They didn't RSVP. And Karen, I guess you could start the recording.
Oh.
And yes, Alice. You had a question?
I'm not going to ask my question. Never mind. This is all that's attending. We don't even have a quorum.
How do you count? How many do we need for a quorum?
We need
Oh,
4.
we have 4. We have 4. We do have a quorum. My bad.
Well, then you get all the attention, Alice, because the rest of us are on the committee.
So we're
here to
required,
ask you everything you want.
we're required
So
to,
I'm going to say that I don't have a need for this meeting.
so if we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. If we adjourn, we adjourn, but we have to start the meeting with the Pledge of
Yes.
Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, the 3 of you are on the committee.
Yeah, Cecilia isn't here. She's on the committee too. But truthfully, we had to make this effort in spite of the attendance. The bottom line is we have to be transparent and we have to make these resources available to everyone. So Alice, I appreciate that you say, in all seriousness, say you don't need the meeting, but even if it's an abbreviated meeting, I think it'll help everybody. And I think you're more than deserving to be included. So don't, you know, for the sake of not imposing on the rest of us, say that you don't really need this meeting, but we do. The old business is the topic on our agenda, the long-range planning process and DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion discussion with Michael Holmes of Insights for You, who's working on a long-range plan. We don't have any guests today, but in attendance, in addition to myself, board members are Alice Joslow, Althema Goodson, and Amanda Curley. Also in attendance are Karen LaRockefels and Molly Robbins and Kathy Byrne, and of course, Michael Holmes. So with that, Alice, we can focus on you. Do you have any questions, or would you just like us to give you an overview of what the committee has been working on and bring you up to date?
Here's the 4th member of the committee.
May the fourth be with you.
You're muted, Cecilia.
Good.
I've got my neighbor cutting down a tree next door. I couldn't find the link. I'm hoping those are the only hiccups I have today.
I have to say that I personally appreciate the updates that we get on at every meeting. I do not feel that the members who are not on the committee should be, there was some talk about having people go in and out and in and out. I think that would not be a good strategy because it's very important for there to be continuity and understanding amongst the people who are doing this work in partnership with Michael and our staff. And I'm very satisfied with the updates that we're receiving at our board meetings. So I'm good.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, and I'm going to ask both Karen and Michael and every other member to join in if I'm missing something or I'm not accurate. The focus on DEI is, for me personally, a new effort, because while I have a remote understanding, I don't have any direct understanding. And it's interesting to understand that DEI is meant to go across the library, everything from collections to programming and to services to reflect diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is, I don't suppose it's unique to our library, but for our library, it's a unique effort. And I think it's a very enlightening effort. And I also think that it could generate a lot of discussion, maybe folks both for and against, but I think the discussion will lead to more understanding. So in all seriousness, Alice, I think I'm going to ask Karen to give you her input on how that's going with the staff, and you already have a feel for how it's going with the board. So if I can, Karen.
Sure. So we've been meeting as a committee since February. You know who's on the committee. And the staff members who are on the committee have been participating both at the larger committee level. And then as Michael has us do work on various pieces of the plan, we break out into small groups. So the staff who are on the committee, myself, Molly, as well as the committee members and community members who are on the committee, have been working together in small groups. As you know from Michael's presentations, some of the first things that we tried to do was define diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think we came up with some really nice definitions to keep us sort of all on the same page. And then as we think about the different areas of the library and library service that we need to think about going forward, we always sort of end up coming back to what do these things look like from the lens of these definitions of diversity, equity, and inclusion that we've come up with. Is that a good nutshell?
I think
far as
my
the staff
only
is concerned?
question, to take advantage of this opportunity, because I really do feel very informed at the board level, and I'm disappointed that my other colleagues are not taking this opportunity.
I wanted to just mention one more thing, Alice, that I forgot to mention. I'm sorry. At the beginning of this process, Michael had made it a point to meet with as many staff members as possible. So he had individual meetings with all of the department heads, all of the full-timers. I'm pretty certain, Michael, were individual meetings. And then he made he scheduled several group meetings for the rest of the staff, and it was completely open and out there, so people could attend or not attend, and there were several opportunities to do that. So a real effort was, and I excused myself from all those meetings so that people could say whatever it was they wanted to say. So a real effort was made at the beginning of this process to get staff input, and now that we're starting to coalesce our ideas, Michael will be putting together communications for us to go out to the staff, because the staff will need to start getting involved at a very soon point, because now we're coming up with plans and ideas and things like that, which will be implemented at some point by staff.
So my only question is community input. When does that process start?
So, Michael, I'm going to ask you to speak to this. I'm just going to say that the inclusion of community members on the committee was the first step to that. And we have started identifying community organizations who we will be reaching out to as a committee, individually, staff, and that kind of thing. But Michael, did you want to speak more to that?
Yes, so we have two, as you already said, we have two community members. We actually had three. We started out with someone else, and then the schedule wouldn't allow, but I had a one-on-one with her. So I would say it this way. I have one-on-ones with each community member that is involved and would have been involved. I have had one-on-one conversations with Kathy, with Dennis. So we tried to cover the gamut in terms of getting input on the front end. But I think, Alice, your question is what's the moving forward? And the moving forward is we've identified 22 plus additional organizations that we believe we should build stronger relationships with. So we have a specific we have specific goals, objectives, tactics, and action that will happen next, one of which will be inclusive of focus group kind of engagements again. So instead of doing, as we said at a previous meeting, a survey, Karen, Molly, and I are working with Mallory to design questions so that when we engage in these focus groups, they can really get us to good conversation and dialogue so we can learn, as opposed to just having data come back in without having engagement. So the timeline, to be specific, is when we get through the next phase, which is the end of this month, we hope to be at a point where we can launch into those action steps. So May, June, that's where we should be. That's the timeline that I've been presenting all along, and we believe we're in sync with that timeline.
Great, so maybe you guys could share those lists with all the board members. Because some of us are more engaged in the community than others. And it might be just good for us to see the list, to see if we might add anything to
And
it.
you're spot on with one of the actions that we built. So again, we have goals, we have objectives, and then we have tactics and actions. And one of the tactics and actions relative to this piece is engaging board, staff, volunteers who know these organizations and may help us have better outreach and connection. Because again, the underscore here is not just to outreach to them to say, hi, we're the library, we're your neighbors. The intent is to reach out and build deep, lasting relationships and we can figure out how can we partner for the benefit of the communities we serve. That's the focus. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm really, really grateful to the four of you that are on the committee. You know, I think that, Michael, I'm so grateful that you're our consultant, and I'm very excited about this process. So.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? Did we miss anything? Can we add anything? Okay, I think that's a positive. And I don't really want to add anything to our agenda. I think it was appropriate for what we had. And the next regular meeting is Monday, the 19th. That's our regularly scheduled meeting. So if there is nothing else, nothing urgent, I will entertain a motion to adjourn in a second.
So moved.
We have a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Adjournment passes. Michael, thank you very much. Kathy, Molly, thank you. Karen, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody stay safe.
Bye.
Have a good day, everyone.
Okay.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.